Welcome to Victims and Villains. I was going to do a pun. We're talking about Good Burger 2 today. My name is Josh. Let's jump into it. Good Burger 2 explores the reunion between Dax and Ed from the original film, coming back and experiencing some familiar antics and taking down the big bad corporate threat of this movie. In an era of requels, Good Burger 2 certainly fits into that category. This isn't quite a reboot, but there's enough bones of the original film to kind of feel like it feels like a reboot. I said this when we covered the original film a couple years ago. Good Burger was a staple in my household for me and my sister. And I've seen this movie quite a lot, and so having that this is one of my favorite films of all time, there is, coming into this sequel, there are a lot of familiar things which unfortunately create a lot of predictable moments. Like, as a fan of this movie, I appreciate the callbacks that this modern sequel has to the original cult classic, but on the flip side of that, I really hate what they did with the villain of this film, the narrative overall. Like, I really wish that they would have just chosen kind of something else and not just kind of copy and paste it from the original film. And that's not to say that I hated this film. On the contrary, I really had a lot of fun with this film. It was like getting ready just to see old friends that I haven't seen in many years. And I just loved getting to see Kenan and Kel back together again when they did the Jimmy Fallon sketch years ago. It was one of my favorite moments in television history. And so to kind of get to see what they were capable to do in this 90 minutes was, again, it hit that nostalgia bone for me. But as a film, as a whole, it fell flat on some fronts. So Good Burger had 3 writers on it. One was James III, or James III. I'm just going off of his IMDb page. He was a writer on the most recent All That reboot, which Kenan and Kel were also part of. And then it also had the original 2 writers from the original Good Burger on this as well. Kevin Kopelow and Heath Seifert, I don't know if I said that name right, are the 2 original writers from the first Good Burger that came back to be a part of this sequel. And again, here's the thing. I love the fact that the original writers came back, and I love that there is someone that's actively working in modern children's television coming back to these characters. I thought that the trio of these writers did a good job overall. I think Good Burger 2 is the perfect snapshot of classic Nickelodeon that Kenan and Kel got their start on with All That, The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, that era, and this more modern era that parents that grew up on that can show their kids that, probably, again, it has that balance. But on the flip side of that, I will also say that some jokes landed, and the jokes that landed for me were classic callbacks or that classic Nickelodeon humor, whereas a lot of the more modern day comedy meant for the younger audience didn't land with me. And so on the front of comedy, this film kind of feels like a mixed bag. And that's the thing about Good Burger 2, is that it's a little bit, pardon the pun, undercooked. It's not just the comedy, but it's also at the same time, it happens to be the narrative. It happens to be the callbacks being a little bit too heavy, for as much as I like them, don't really work in its favor for this to be a favorable review. The acting in this movie is fine. I mean, when you look at the original Good Burger, you're not sitting down to watch it because the acting in it's great. You're watching it because it's a good time. And that's the same thing here. And that's not to say that Kenan nor Kel have gone on to be bad actors. On the contrary, Saturday Night Live has shown us that Kenan has quite a versatile amount of talent and characters that he can portray. And also, I would dare to say the same about Kel as well. I mean, he went on to go do Game Shakers. He's a pastor now. He's an author, a husband, and I think just kind of getting to revisit these classic characters. Again, this movie's a lot of fun. This was a blast. Outside of Kenan and Kel, the reasons that you're coming to potentially just watch this movie in the first place, there's not really a standout performance. Well, I guess this movie features other notable character actors like Jillian Bell and Lil Rel Howery, Pete Davidson, Flora Borg, and that list just kind of goes on, but none of them really stand out the way that Kenan and Kel do. And again, that is because this is their franchise. These are their characters, and I love the fact that there is a lot of dedication and love and care for these characters even after all of these years. And it shows because they're the clear standouts here. Overall, I'm going to say this movie's paced really well because of how it feels like a requel with that copy and paste. It never feels like it drags, but again, because of that requel feeling, it also does sadly feel forgettable. Let's run this through the Rorschach rating scale, shall we? I'm going to go ahead and give Good Burger 2 a 3 out of 5. I think overall, this film will satisfy a lot of us that grew up on Good Burger, Dex, Ed Sauce, the whole shebang. But I think this does a good job at kind of being a gateway into classic Nickelodeon for newer viewers as well. But overall, it just kind of feels a little bit empty. It feels almost kind of like a fever dream, and it's just kind of a mixed results. The comedy doesn't always land. It's a tad predictable, and just again, a lot of the callbacks are both a good thing and a bad thing. So you kind of have to really kind of pick your poison. So if you guys have watched Good Burger 2, what did you guys think? Comment below. Let me know if... Also, let me know if you guys have tried the Arby's. I tried it. It was very delicious, and it felt like nostalgia come through my screen into my mouth, and I was all about it. So comment below, let me know. But let's talk about mental health. If you guys are new to our content, Mental Health Moment is where we'll take a theme of mental health out of the film, which we're talking about, deconstruct it for a few moments in the hopes to deconstruct the stigma surrounding mental health. Honestly, it wouldn't be a Good Burger movie without the core relationship of Dexter and Ed. I think it's their relationship is really what helps not only this film, but the original film as well. And it serves as a reminder of the importance of surrounding yourself with a healthy community. Early on in this film, we get to see Kenan Thompson's character, Dax, kind of where he's at after all of these years. He's an entrepreneur that has really kind of burnt a lot of bridges along the way, but kind of getting to go back to his hometown where he's from and reconnecting with Ed. It is this reminder that he learns about the healthy benefits of having a healthy community. I think sometimes that's something that we discount because we want to be liked or we want to be appreciated or we want to be seen. And if the community that you're surrounding yourself with is only a point of validation for your ego, then it really doesn't have your best interest in mind. If it doesn't have your best interest in mind, that surely does not have your mental health in mind. And I think in the age of influencers, that's always something that we're chasing after. We're always chasing after that validation. But at the end of the day, you want to surround yourself with, even if it's a group of as little as 2 to 4 people that you can really be vulnerable with and really open up with, whether that is a spouse, a partner, a significant other, or someone even like a mentor or a therapist, because in the long run, it's those kind of relationships and those kind of conversations that are going to have a immense effect, profound effect actually, on your mental health. And even if you don't know where to start, a hotline just to talk to someone, or a warm line as well, are great resources. And you guys can find a whole plethora of those in our mental health resource library. Links are in the show notes. Never underestimate the power of a good friend and a listening ear. So until next time, hit that subscribe button below, and in the show notes below, you guys will find links to our podcast, more movie reviews, interviews, our Patreon, and that subscribe button. So until next time, stay classy and have a happy Thanksgiving.